Okay, today I'm gonna do a small review on an app called Routinery. It's a productivity app that I will be using throughout this video as sort of a demonstration as well. So right now I have it pulled up and I'm just gonna go ahead and start it. It's gonna be 1 minute on different topics on the review. And you'll also get to hear how it sort of tells you what to do for the next one. So Routinery is basically just a timer app. It's essentially you write down how many minutes you want to spend on a certain task, and then it tells you to move on. It can go auto next, or you have to press a button, a check mark, and then it moves on to the next task. When describing it, it sounds really simple, but it's actually really effective. At least I've been using this for on and off this past year, and I find that whenever I do use it, I'm way more productive than when I do not use it. And it's primarily because there's just a lot of benefits to knowing how much time has passed and being told to move on to the next task. Because oftentimes we get into our own heads and we're just doing whatever we want based on whatever time.
Review has ended automatically. Move on to reason I like it so much.
Okay, so it basically just told me what to do for the next topic, and it ends automatically, so I have 50 seconds to talk about the next thing. I usually don't have it end automatically, but for a video, it makes more sense to do that. And you can turn off the voice as well, because personally, the voice, I think is helpful, so I keep it on, but it kind of does sound a little not very professional, I suppose. Anyways, the reason I like it so much is what I've been saying. It just tells you what to do for the next thing and it keeps you on track. I think one of the number one things that often happens when you're doing something and you're really in the zone is that, or you just get distracted. Either way, you're not on task and the allocation of time isn't being spent wisely. This app basically helps you prevent that from happening and keeps you on track.
So much has ended automatically. Move on to free versus paid.
And another thing I like about it is that there's a free version and there's a paid version. I've tried the free trial for the paid version, and honestly, it's very similar to the free version. You don't have to get the paid version at all. The only restrictions are that you have only 2 routines that you can create in the free version, but I'll talk about a workaround soon. And then the paid version has a lot more analytics and statistics, but personally, I find the tool of just being able to write out the list of things to do at a specific time. It also reminds you when to do it. So reminders pop up around okay, say 5 p.m. I do a stretching routine. And then for 3 minutes, I warm up. For another 2 minutes, I work on the front splits. For another 3 minutes, I work on middle splits. For another 2 minutes, I do some foam rolling. That's not exactly the routine that I have, but basically that's a routine right there. And after I create that, I call it the splits routine or stretching routine or something. And then from there, I can only make another one. But there's a workaround where you can essentially just continuously make things throughout the day, or say you have tasks that are quite similar, and just make a really long routine. So you don't have to so you're not really actually restricted. I suppose if you care about separating your routines, then that could be an issue. But I find that the tool of just having a timer is more useful than the analytics or the restriction of keeping things, or the restriction of having 2 routines. So that's a workaround you can do. Another workaround is if you have another device, which I have a iPhone and an iPad, you can just have them as separate.
Workarounds has ended automatically. Move on to final thoughts.
So you can have them as separate and you essentially get 4 routines instead. So that's what I'm doing right now. I have multiple routines on multiple devices. As long as you don't log in and have the syncing turned on, then you can do that. So that's another workaround. And basically, yeah, this app is just very straightforward, but very powerful at the same time. I think that I personally have benefited a lot from using it. And now that I'm more distraction free these days, having this app is very useful. Just having this plus having a distraction free mind, it's perfect. Because I do find that it gets difficult to use or be consistent with if you do have a very chaotic and hectic lifestyle and you don't always do things at the same time. So in that sense, it might not be useful for you. I use this for piano practice. I'm starting to use this for music creation, Japanese practice, just having different time slots for what to do for those specific routines. It's just super useful, basically. But again, if you're not doing the same things a lot, which I feel most people do very similar things on a daily basis, at least 1 or 2 things, either working or perhaps honing a skill, I do think that this can be very useful for you. So definitely check it out. And it's not I'm affiliated with them in any way. I just personally think that it's a good app, and I'm like nervous and talking like this primarily because I'm not used to having something tell me what to say and do. So I feel like I performed very poorly in that regard. But honestly, that's kind of a reflection of sometimes how, like, when I use the app, I do get distracted in doing something else. But like the moment it tells me to do something, the next thing, I'm like, okay, I gotta get back on track. And that's like the whole point of what makes this app powerful, in my opinion. Okay, that's my final thoughts. Check it out and let me know what you think. Peace.